Hello everyone, my name is Professor Stuki. And I am going to teach you the Constitution, an effective instrument of government. Now, what is a Constitution? A Constitution is a body of rules of precedents governing the affairs of a state. It therefore plays a vital role in the political life of the people. The Constitution is not just a law, but it is a supreme law or the highest law that must be obeyed and respected by every person. The Constitution balances the power of the government and the rights of the people so that there is good and proper coordination. It also serves as the security of the government so that it does not abuse its power. Likewise, there should not be too many people using its rights. Okay, now we move to the nature and function of the Constitution. According to Zaide in 1966, defines the Constitution as the whole body of fundamental rules, unwritten or written, legal or extra-legal, according to which a particular government operates. According to Zaide, the Constitution is the primary law that can be written or not, okay? Extra-legal or legal, according to which a particular government operates. In other words, the Constitution is a primary law in which the government of a country is organized and orders how to use the power of the government. Next, according to De Leon in 2003, it is an instrument by which the fundamental powers of the government are established, limited and defined for the safe and useful exercise of these powers for the benefit of the people. According to De Leon, the Constitution is a set of regulations that are in the accordance with the ways of using the power and sovereignty of the country. It is an instrument in which the primary powers of the government are established. And last, according to Danog and Capanella in 2004, the Constitution is the fundamental law of the state upon which a government is organized and provides the framework for the organization of government. The Constitution organizes the government by distributing, regulating, and limiting its legislative, judicial, and executive powers, guaranteeing itself. According to the point of convergence among the various definitions, the Constitution stated is on the function or purpose served by a Constitution. From the definition can be inferred the following functions of the supreme and fundamental law of the land. Okay, first is establish the basic framework of our government. The Constitution identifies the regulates the specific powers and functions of the executive, legislative, and the judicial branches of the government. The government is also like a family, with a member and has its own duties. If the family has an heir, so does the government. So the three branches of the government are the executive, legislative, and the judicial. These branches are equal because each branch has its own important role and has an equal power. Next, regulation of the rights and freedom enjoyed by individuals for the common good. Okay. All people should have the same rights such as freedom and the right to live or to receive sufficient rights for everyday life. And each of us has a right. And last, protection of the people from government issues. Okay. The president is not only the leader of a branch of the government. He is also the commander of the national defense. Therefore, the president should be able to use any force to fight or to seek and to implement the law that he needs. Now, let's go to the kinds of constitution based on form. Inactive or conventional constitution. It is a constitution that drafted and passed by a constituent assembly or granted by a sovereign to the people. So when we say the conventional constitution, it is a constitution that was passed by a constituent assembly and passed in a systematic way or process. It can also be about the time and place where the conventional constitution was passed. And when we say evolved or cumulative constitution, it is a constitution which is the product of a long history of usage by custom, the tradition, and judicial decisions rather than by formal or deliberate enactment. So when we say cumulative constitution, it is the opposite of the conventional constitution. In the conventional constitution, it can be about the time and place where the constitution was drafted, and it was formed in an assembly. The cumulative constitution cannot be about the time and place where it was drafted, and it was formed from traditions, customs, and the judicial decisions. Now, so let's go to the kind of constitution based on amending the constitution. So when we say rigid or inelastic constitution. It is a constitution that is difficult to change or alter except by some special machinery more convoluted than the ordinary legislative process. So when we say a rigid constitution, it requires a special process to change the structure or part of a constitution from the state. An example of this is the formation of the Constitutional Commission. So when we say flexible or elastic constitution, it is a constitution that is easy to arm as it can be altered in the same way as the other laws. So it is the opposite of a rigid constitution. So if for the first time it can change the structure of a constitution through a law from the Congress. So let's go to the different kinds of constitution based on form. The written and unwritten constitution. So when we say written constitution, it is a constitution either granted by a ruler or enacted by the legislative or formed by a constituent body and ratified by the people. So when we say written, it is kind of constitution that is contained in a document or set of documents. When we say unwritten constitution, it is a constitution that consists of customs, usage, legal, tradition, stationary, legislations, and it is entirely the product of political growth and development. So there are constitutions that are not contained in a single document. For example, the Constitution of the United Kingdom, because it is based on different documents like the Acts of Parliament and judicial decisions. So let's go to the requisite of a good written constitution. So in order to be a strong and powerful constitution, it needs to have the following characteristics. First is broadness. As much as the constitution has the outline, the organization of a government, it has to be comprehensive to embody all the essential functions and power of the government. So when we say broadness, it needs to be in accordance with the law or constitution of the entire society. So when we say brevity, it is constitution has to be brief but concise. It should not be too lengthy or detailed, as only the essential of government should be embodied in it. Appropriate statutes will be provided the details so that brevity is not violated or debased. So it means that from the word brief, it needs to be concise, brief but understandable and understood by the reader. So let's go to the last requisite of a good written constitution: definiteness. The provisions of the Supreme Charter of law should be definite and clear to avoid errors and ambiguity in their interpretation. So when you write a constitution, it should not include words that can be interpreted as in different words and different ways. So it should be understandable. So let's go to the essential parts of a constitution. There are three: Constitution of Government, Constitution of Liberty, and Constitution of Sovereignty. So when we say Constitution of Government, this component of Constitution provides the framework for the establishment of government. So here is the power of legislative, executive, and judicial branches of government. And when we say Constitution of Liberty, it is part of the Constitution specified. From the word specified, the basic freedom and rights of our people are here. The Constitution of Liberty will serve as the people's protection against the abuses of the government. And lastly, the Constitution of Sovereignty. This portion of the Constitution stipulates the manner by which people can exercise our sovereign power to improve, alter, and modify the fundamental law of the land. And next, the 1987 Constitution of the Philippines. A few weeks after the successful People Power Revolution, which toppled down the dictatorial regime of the Ferdinand Marcos, go to the drafting and the ratification of the 1987 Constitution. The Constitutional Commission, or CONCOM, composed by 50 Filipino citizens of recognized property known for their independence, nationalism, and patriotism that personally selected by the President. So the 58 Filipino citizens are the one who established the Constitutional Commission or CONCOM. To 1986, at the Batasang Pambansa in Liliman, Quezon City, it was tasked to write the constitution for the country that shall reflect the ideas and aspirations of Filipino people. There are three important drafts of constitution were used by the commission in drafting the 1987 character, the Malolos Constitution in 1898, the 1925 Constitution, and the 1973 Constitution. On October 12, 1896, the CONCOM approved the draft of the proposed constitution. It was submitted by President Aquino. On February 2, 1987, the 1987 Constitution was ratified by the Filipino people and became effective. And that is all. Thank you for listening. That was the Constitution, an effective instrument of the government. And once again, I am Professor Rastogi at your service.
Einstein